Hello and welcome to the magic of fishing. Today you join me back on the banks of the beautiful River Wye in Herefordshire, not far from the Welsh border, and I am sat in the shade of a big old willow which is leaning out over the river. The water is still crystal clear as it was on my first session here yesterday as I filmed this, and I'm still on holiday with my wife Rachel and our little puppy Bunny, and most of this holiday is about making sure Rachel has a good time for letting me do so much fishing this summer, much of which I've been sharing with you folks at home on the channel. And this was about coming away to somewhere that, yes, has some special fishing on offer, but not all about the angling. And this morning we were back in River, just a few miles away from where we're staying, in the quaintly named Hole in the Wall, a little hamlet in the parish of Foy, and just behind me you can see the Foy suspension bridge. I'm going to fish a bit further upstream than I did in that last marvellous session. If you've seen that video, I only got a couple of hours on the river and it was my very first time on the Wye, and it more than lived up to its reputation for producing plenty of chub and barbel despite all the pressures this river is under from agriculture and intensive chicken farming and the sewage spills from the water companies. It's good to see that at least some species of fish are thriving here, and it blew me away. Lots of good chub, a couple of barbel, really fantastic fishing in just an hour or two away from the holiday cottage. It's a lovely place we're staying. And yeah, this morning we've been down to Ross, had a walk around the park with Bunny, had a look at the river down there. I managed a pint of local cider and Rachel had a nice coffee, and we just enjoyed watching the people go by and having a bit of time with our puppy. But now it's late afternoon and I've got a few more hours to fish today. It will be my last chance to sample the fishing on this fantastic river, and if it's anything like that first session yesterday, I cannot wait to get going. I've got a couple of plans. Firstly, I've got to start on the flow. I couldn't come away from the Wye without having trotted the river, so I've got a stepped up float rod, some luncheon meat in this bait pouch, and I'm going to be wading out in the river not far beyond the ends of the fronds of this willow, and just running a stick down with a lump of meat and seeing whether there's any chub or barbel willing to feed for me on the float and pin. That really would be magic. But I know there's a lot of fish to be had back down in that pool a bit further downstream from the bridge, so I've gone a bit more aggressive with the bait this time. I balled it in with a few orange size balls of sticky ground bait laced with hemp pellet of different sizes, a few small boilies, and I think once we get to evening time I'll make my way down to there and see if the sport is just as good as it was before. Back on the feeder, perhaps fish a ground bait feeder this time, and yeah, two different styles of fishing because I just want to see what's possible before we're back to enjoying the holiday, and then in a couple of days time heading back home to Surrey. So let's get in the water and see if anything's willing to buy on the float. So here we are, stood in the River Wye. First time for me. I did wade out further downstream to get a bit of pellet in the pool and a bit of ground bait in the pool that I intend to fish later, but it feels a real honour to be on such a famous river, or in such a famous river. And as I explained in the previous video, anyone can come and book this. It's called the Wye and Usk Passport, and there's different beats. This is the Foy Bridge beat, and it's double bank fishing for about 200 yards or so. Salmon fishing as well as coarse fishing, although I'm told by one of the river keepers who I met yesterday with Rachel while we were on a walk that the salmon numbers, like many of the rivers around the UK, have been decimated. You don't see too many of them these days, but the sea trout, but it really is the barbel and the chub that the river is famous for these days. If I tilt the camera you can see the steep banks along this river, and there's steps that are made by that river keeper we were having a chat to down to the water. I've left my net over there just in case I'm lucky enough to land anything that I can't hand out the water. And just upstream is the beautiful bridge that Rachel and I have had 1 or 2 walks across with Bunny. Seems very popular with walkers in the area, but it's really, really quiet. You know, there's very few planes or much motor traffic at all, and that's one of the joys of fishing here. It's wild, it's rugged, but also very quiet. You know, I believe that more than one angler can get tickets for the stretch, but certainly I've not seen another angler in all the times I've been down here, both fishing and walking. So the setup, a real chunky, no nonsense balsa missile float, Dave Harrell number, 8 gram, down to a big Olivet, quick change swivel, and a number 10 forged barbel style hook. And I've not cut huge chunks of meat, maybe a centimetre or so square. That means I can just push the hook through. Haven't really got a sense yet for the depth, but I've picked this spot because it's very shallow up under the bridge, and although I've seen a few fish up there, it feels like down here there's a bit more depth and a slower, steady glide. I've set up at about 3 foot, and we'll see whether that catches the bottom. And the float is undershotted because we've got a big bait on and we're fishing for big fish, chub or barbel, and judging by the bites that were coming on the tip yesterday afternoon, they're not shy biters. I imagine it'll be the same on the float. Again, only the second time I've ever fished this river, and yesterday is my only guide to the fishing here, so I'm not going to feed heavily. I'm just going to keep chucking in the odd cube. They're quite buoyant, so it'll take them quite a while to make their way down the river. And I think if there's any fish here in this long trot, I'll probably know within the first 10 or 15 minutes. It's a big, buoyant, is that bite or dragging? Probably dragging. It's a big, sorry, not buoyant, big smelly bait. The water's very clear despite the rain that we had. A few showers last night, it's not really made a difference. The river's very low, and that didn't seem to catch on anything until perhaps towards the bottom of the trot. I've got pretty robust gear for float fishing, as you might expect with a target species. It's a nice, fine, modern reel line, but 8-pound main line, a 6-pound hook length down to that size 10 barbel hook. Definitely catching this time. Just need to take an inch or two off. And this is a 14-foot Acolyte Ultra, Acolyte Specimen rod, which has got some real backbone in it. Could have been a little bite, you know. It's very dear to me because I caught my PB perch on it from the bridge pool on the Hampshire Avon royalty fishery. One of the most memorable fish of my angling life. and I would be very, very happy to get even one quality fish. From the Wye. Beautiful weather at the moment. Say I had some real heavy downpours this afternoon, just one or two, and there's a chance of more in the forecast, but at the moment the sun is sparkling off the water, only a light breeze taking the heat out of the air, those showers last night. It's been really muggy up until now, and although this is a quite slow, steady trot down, there is enough pace to peel the line off the drum of the pin. Just make sure we're still in control of that float. You need a big heavy float for this kind of big river long trotting. There's a fish. Oh, lovely. I thought, is that dragging under? Or is that a bite? I just gave it the gentlest of strikes, and that has not taken long as predicted. A fish on the float, on the pin, on the Wye. Happy man. There's the float. Oh, lovely, lovely chub. Let's see if we can hand him out. Look at that big mouth coming towards us. Wow, he's a long, lean one. Bit spawned out, but he is a big-headed chub. He'd be a clonker later in the season. Only just hooked because it was such a gentle strike. Wow. Then the body's much leaner. He's an old warrior. Let's slip him back into this clear water. Spitting out a bit of meat he's been enjoying. Fantastic start, just like yesterday. Chub on trotted meat. Let's give it another go. And he looked like he needed a bit of feeding up, so let's keep 2 or 3 cubes going down with each cast. I only brought a couple of tins with me, chopped them up back at the cottage after we got back from Ross, and I thought we'll give it as long on the float as it takes me to get through the bait, and then I've got plenty of ground bait and pellets, small boilies for the evening. But if you're a fan of the magic of fishing, you'll know I love my float fishing, and river float fishing in particular. So to be on the Wye, catching chub on the pin, long trotting in the sunshine, you'll know this is fishing heaven for me, and for many other anglers I suspect. I was saying yesterday afternoon in the first video, if you've seen that, you know, the Wye is one of those places for whatever reason. I just never fished as a young man growing up in Sheffield. The Trent was always the big draw for me. Was that a bite? Possibly just dragging. You know, I was going on the Derwent with my granddad in Derbyshire, or just fishing the Sheffield Canal. like many of the places I've managed to fish since starting this channel, to watch the willow above. It's been one of those destinations that you dream about, and it's taken until now for me to actually pull my finger out and make some plans. That's what it takes, a bit of planning, obviously a bit of money as well. Not everyone can afford to come and stay on the Wye, but the fishing itself is quite reasonable, I think. I think it's around £20 or so a day, but for, you know, a whole beat with fishing like this, I'm more than happy paying, what, twice the price of a commercial fishery day ticket. It's the sort of stuff that you're going to remember for a long time. And certainly compared to some parts of the country, the accommodation costs are fairly reasonable as well. Fantastic meal at the Moody Cow last night. Just mend that line and make sure we've got some direct contact. It's a long old trot. That's the great thing about using a big top float like a loafer or a chubber. Not only can it carry a bit of weight in terms of an olivet or the bait, you can see that tip a long way down the river. That is roughly where I had the fish, I would say. It looks like it just shallows up there. I'm surrounded by minnows. Actually, they're not minnows, they're fry. They look pretty hungry. Any little bits that are dropping in from the bait get attacked instantly. Real breeze getting up, which is making float control a little tricky, but the long rod and the heavy float help make up or compensate for the thick line, or the relatively thick line at £8. And the float is still going down nicely. Oh yes, wow, that buried. And that's taken me quite a way down the river. Nodding away. And there's the float. Oh, and he's off. Oh, that's tough. Oh, that is tough. Sometimes fishing can be cruel. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed that hour or two trotting on the Wye. But the bites, if anything, were slowing up, and only 2 fish hooked. 1 landed, and we'll never know what was the one that got away. But I've really enjoyed watching that float go down the river and not knowing if the next fish could be another big chub or even a barbel. But what has been nagging at the back of my mind is just how many fish there were down in the white water of the pool that's a bit further downstream when I fished it yesterday. And my sense is that in these bright conditions, low river conditions, the fish are going to be in that more oxygenated water. And with this being my last chance to fish on the Wye for at least a few months, I've got to get down there and give it another go, especially after baiting up earlier. Rachel and Bunny have just come to say hello, so I'm going to spend a few minutes with them and then we'll make our way down back to that promising pool. Follow me. And here we are, re-tackled up with the feeder gear, back on the pool that was so generous to me yesterday. Obviously, as I film this, might be a week or two since you enjoyed that session with me, but that water, fast water down the middle, still looks appealing. We've got a few hours till dark, so let's get fishing. I'm going with a bit of a bigger bait than I had when I was using yesterday, when it was just an 8mm pellet. Got a small 12mm boilie on, and it's hair rigged on a loop rather than on a band like yesterday, and just with the extra feed in I put in earlier, sorry. Just want to make sure I've got a standout hook bait. And this feels very familiar. Will the fish still be there is the question. I only took a couple of chucks yesterday, but I did catch a good few fish from here, of course. I don't know how many are in the pool, and I did put that bait in earlier, so it remains to be seen whether the fish will be lined up, and I think there's possibly something catching the line. Got a couple of swans out in front, but yeah, it remains to be seen whether the fish will be queuing up like they were last time. Oh yeah, that was a quick bite. And fish on. Wow. Well, that vindicates the move downriver and putting away the float gear instantly. And with the evening sun warming my face, in fact 3 swans out in front of me. And another chub coming to the net. And once again, a very happy angler. Lovely bronze chub. And now, along with a bit of weed, you can see the boilie and the hook just in the scissors. There we go. Out past the swan. What a start. I've said it before, but I love it when a fishing plan comes together. A bit of pre-baiting, a bigger bait to make sure that is going to stand out amongst all those free offerings that went in earlier. A spot that I sounded out briefly yesterday afternoon, and okay, a modest sized chub, but a chub very first cast in the early evening sun. And I've still got, I don't know, perhaps 2.5 hours to enjoy this, so hopefully it wasn't a one-off. Bunny and Rachel have just headed back to the cottage for a chilled night, maybe a bit of TV and relaxing on the sofa. and I've promised that as soon as I've had my fill or the light runs out, whichever happens first, I'll be back for maybe one bottle of cold beer before bedtime. So let's see if there's any more to come. The answer to that, of course, is a resounding yes. Oh, sometimes fishing can't be beat, especially when you've got your wife on the bank with you, or she was at least before heading back, then playing another good wye fish in amongst two beautiful swans in the evening sunlight. Gave one of them a bit of a shock. Let's try and guide him through. That's 2 chub and 2 chucks. Another wye cracker. That's why I always carry forceps when I'm fishing for chub and barbel. This one absolutely wolfed that small boilie. What a backdrop, eh? Let's get him back. That's where a long landing net helps. Get them into some deeper water. And unlike barbel, these chub occasionally need a tiny rest, but they're normally shooting straight back. Let's try again. Now, let's see whether I can not only make it a third bite in 3 casts, or a third fish in 3 casts, but whether I can capture one of these vicious bites for you as well. The last couple have been real thumps and then drop back. Fishing a 2-ounce ground bait feeder Coram model, which is just about holding. Long hook length. There's a little tap. Is it going to go? A long hook length of about 2 or 3 foot and a size 10 barbel hook. A few little taps this time. Could be chub having a look, could be small fish, dace in the river. Oh, how did I miss that? That really pulled over. Let's try again. Just let out a little bit of line, take the pressure off. And as you can see, the quiver tip is barely required. I could almost be fishing a straight top, such as the current down the middle of this pool. But it is nice to watch that white tip against the sky. Let's see some of these savage bites. And it just goes to show the fish are where you might expect them to be and where they want to be, and that's in the more oxygenated water below this little boulder weir. The slower, smoother glide I was fishing earlier looked nice, and I'm sure if there was a bit of fresh water and rain in the river... Oh! That's 2 solid pulls I've missed. But you've hopefully seen what I'm looking for. Can't really miss them. trio of swans. Ooh, that was a drop back and I didn't miss that one. Oh, nice steady nods. And it is a third fish already. Let's get up not to make any mistakes. Whoa! They are fit as a fiddle, these fish, despite the low water conditions. Oh, that's another lovely chub. In he goes, nice one. That is a third chub. Slip back to fight again another day, and just like the first time I fished the Wye, it is not disappointing. A really good fling. Fishing a slack just beyond the main. That's not slack, it's a crease with some slightly slower water compared to that main central chute. It would probably be easier to fish the near side of it, but is that another fish? Or am I snagged? I think that could have been another fish and I'm snagged. I have to give it a bit of time. But the fish just seem to be in that area. There's a bit more depth there, I think. Certainly when I was wading out, it looked like a deeper hole beyond the fast water. And yeah, there are a few snags down there, but hopefully I can get my gear back and yeah, in one piece, and we'll have another go. And I can see a walker coming along the far bank just above, I see his head just above the tall grasses, and he is only the second person I've seen today, well, since I've started fishing, other than Rachel. That's how peaceful it is here. And that is another ground bait feeder packed full of oily ground bait, hemp, pellet. And we are fishing again. Little fish jumped at the tail of the pool, splashed out. But I'm really excited about not only how good the fishing is here, but getting to fish it into the evening. The 2 hours yesterday were absolute magic, but did feel a little bit rushed. And of course it's always hard to pack up, even for a special wife, when you're catching barbel and chub. So it's nice that this second and final session at Foy Bridge can stretch out a bit with that sun lowering. I don't think we need that dropping light level to get the fish on the feed. But I always like fishing into an evening, watching the sun get lower, the light changing. And then I can be home, just a 5-minute stroll back to the car with the barrow, and then a less than 2-minute drive down the road. I could have taken the barrow from the cottage really, but I wanted to get fishing as soon as I could. And this is exactly what I mean by the changing light you get in an evening. The sun's not only getting lower, but just been shaded by some big clouds, and the light's really diffused now, much softer, and it just feels really fishy. Even if I'd not already had those fish, I think it would be feeling like bite o'clock. And sure enough, round the tip slams, and it's another fish on. Just look at the size of some of these Wye chub. Cavernous mouth, and it's only the fact that we're fishing in July that means they're so slim, spawned out. This would be proper 4.5 pound plus fish if he got a big belly on him, but still magnificent scrap. And a fourth. Back he goes. And as much as I love the float fishing earlier, you can't not 4 chub in less than an hour. And there, against the dark clouds, oh, I was about to say, is another nodding fish, but that has gone snagged solid. So let's give him a bit of slack. It's got to be the feeder that's wedged. Is that him taking off again? Yes. Stand up this time. Oh, it's magic fishing in a magic spot. They're not small fish. All big chub. Oh. Dramatic skies and dramatic fishing. Chub fishing out of this world. They're not all the same fish, I promise you. You can see this one's got a bit of a belly on him. Oh, stunning fish. Life is rarely simple, rarely straightforward, and although it's usually very enjoyable, particularly if you're an angler, we all know there can be stresses, strains, worries and sadness, but I can honestly say my only concern at the moment is that this could really spoil me. I'm more used to fishing the local River Wye in Surrey, where you might spend a whole evening session after one fish, if you're lucky. And I managed to hit that. Oh, somehow missed it. And this is really spoiling me. Unless I've already managed to lose count, that's 5 fish. 6 if you include the one I had on the float earlier. Just a short afternoon, late afternoon, an early evening session. And I don't even know the river. I've had no expert local advice. Sure, I've watched a few YouTube videos and read a few articles, but first time I've fished the river, and if you're lucky enough or use your watercraft to find the right spot, It seems almost anything's possible on the Wye. Whoa! Oh yes! Oh, that again is feeling a little bit snagged, but that felt like a good fish. Oh, he's off. I suspect the feeder got dragged into some rocks there. Bait's still on. I hate to say it, but that really looked a bit like a barbel bite. Just flatlined the rod. It was just starting to take a bit of line as I picked up. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy catching chub all the time. One of my favourite fish of all time, and that was a bite on the drop. Felt it before I'd even put the rod down. Oh, it's a crazy place. Is that another fish on or another snag? I think it's another snag. This is the only problem I can see with this place. He's come out, has he? Yeah, we've got him. You know, I'd be happy catching chub all day long. They are really one of my favourite fish, being a river man. Oh, it's tremendous fishing. I mean, that was bites on the drop. The fish must be lining up, and I'm sure they were here already. We know they were here already from yesterday's session. This is a really powerful fish. Definitely a chub though. You know, I put some bait in, quite a bit of bait in earlier on to try and get them in the feeding mood, but I still think this feeder going in regularly has got them really excited. Oh, and he's in. Because, you know, bites on the drop, that's another thing altogether. Oh, and they're just cracking chub. I mean, I was catching these on the Trent or indeed the Wye. Look at these fish. Absolutely magnificent in the evening light. Great nick, most of them. You just lay them in and they're off like a rocket. What was that, 6? I'm losing count already. The sky really is something else. Perhaps Rachel sat outside in the little garden with Bunny and seeing it too. You know, I always love sharing my fishing with you folks, but when it's an exceptional session like this, it's all the more special to think that it's being recorded for posterity and for other people's enjoyment. And if only a few of you see it and end up getting yourself booked on a Wye pass, I'll put a link below in the description, then that's a good thing. And if it's too far for you or too much hassle, too much money, then I hope you're enjoying this with me. It's silly. Crazy fishing. That's the 7th fish on. I was just feeding the ducks and the swans down to my left because I'm going to have far too much ground bait for the time I've got left, and the tip has slammed over again. Caught so many chublets this year, and there's nothing wrong with catching chublets, but to just catch so many proper chub in a session, it's all my dreams come true. Nine times out of 10 they're just in the corner of the mouth. Another beautiful Wye fish. What a river. That is another bite on the drop. Oh, and it's snagged again. There must be some serious weed and rock out there. Let's try the slack line again. That was definitely a bite and a fish on the drop. Did he come out? Yes. That's the trick, folks. If you do get to come here and that's happening to you, give them some slack. And they sometimes swim out, although this one's gone solid again. So many rocks down there. Can't believe I've managed to keep most of my gear intact for this long. Let's try again. And just feel it on the tip when there's movement. Is he out? Yes. Stand up this time. No messy. Oh, it's unlike anything I've experienced before in terms of the number of big fish, the scenery, the fact there's no other anglers here and competing for this, the wildlife. Oh, another huge set of white lips goes over the net on the drop. Wow. Again, right in the corner, another beautiful white chub. This is hard to believe. Off you go, fella. Again, forgive me if I've lost count in the madness, but I think that is an eighth. And there is still light ahead of us. I suppose the only other risk as well is that some of my future magic of fishing videos are going to seem a little bit pedestrian in terms of the number of fish caught, but as you folks often remind me in the comments, fishing's not always about catching. There's so much more that us anglers understand and appreciate and love. But when you do get everything and catch a lot of quality fish, well, it's what we call a red letter day, isn't it? I can only imagine what would be possible for a full day's fishing on this river with the right conditions. I can start to believe some of the stories that I've heard over the years. There's another little nod there. Oh, and yes, it's another hard fighting river fish. Just keeping it above the rocks this time. It was a bit smaller by the Wye standards and came in a bit more easily. Oh, beautiful little chub. Oh, and here's mint. Not half as dark as the others. Hooked in the top lip. Look at that for a giant of the future. Mint. Well, look at this for a sky, a scene, a river. They might be under all kinds of pressure, but they're still one of the most beautiful places to be in this country. And if you're catching fish like I am, that's my 10th chub of the day, 9th from this pool since I started fishing the feeder. Looks like there's some rain in the distance, straight in front of me, a cloud, a curtain of it. And I'm glad that's not on me, but it really is making for a dramatic backdrop. The sun flaring through a cloud over to the left, just starting to find a gap between them. And I think if I just enjoy another, I don't know, half an hour or so, it will have been one of the best fishing sessions in a long time, certainly this season. I've been to some beautiful places, but in terms of the fish caught, I'm still struggling to believe what's possible here. Whoa! Surely. Yes! Could not miss that one. Keep the rod high. Big nods again. Bit of a split dorsal, but look at him for a handsome lad. Number 10. Whoa! Number 10 has gone straight back in. Feisty one he was. That's number 10 from this pool in the last 2 hours or so. 11 including the float fish caught chub earlier. I reckon I'll give it another, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then it couldn't really get much better than that. It'll be time to go back and see Rachel. Well folks, no doubt some of you will think I'm crazy to be leaving while the sun is still just above the horizon and there's plenty of light left to fish, but I've absolutely filled my boots and had one of the most memorable sessions since I started this channel, and certainly since the start of this season 2025. The Wye has been absolutely wonderful to me, but I just got snagged up, my luck ran out and I lost the feeder in the river. There's some ominous rumbles of thunder from across the river, and for those of you who've been watching me since I started the channel a couple of years ago, you'll know how much fishing I get to do in my spare time and how special Rachel is for letting me do that, and sometimes being part of this channel as well, and even being willing to come on some of these sessions or certainly joined me on a holiday where a little bit of fishing was going to be possible. So I also owe it to her to pack up and get home at a reasonable time. Maybe have a glass of wine outside if the rain's not coming down. And then we've got another full day of holiday to look forward to tomorrow. I'm a lucky, lucky lad. You're always telling me so, but I already know it. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope it's going to be a really special video because it really has been outstanding fishing on an outstanding river. So you take care, and I'll see you again soon on the bank.